Halton News right here on your TV. It's Monday, May 11th, and I'm Jessica Kading. If you were out driving at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, you may have information that can help police. There's a video circulating on social media that shows two adult males throwing objects at vehicles driving eastbound on the QEW in Burlington near Guelph Line. They were throwing what appears to be eggs from the South Service Road. Of course, this is extremely dangerous as it could have caused a serious collision, and both the OPP and the Halton Police are investigating and searching for those responsible. Any witnesses are asked to call Halton Police or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Over the weekend, an additional 9 confirmed or probable cases were reported of COVID-19 in Halton, bringing the total number of cases the region has reported to 582. 82 of those cases were serious enough to require hospitalization, and 23 Halton residents are currently in hospital. 446 residents in our region that had COVID-19 have fully recovered, and 23 individuals passed away. 10 of those were residents of Mountain View Residence Retirement Home in Halton Hills, and 1 was a result of the outbreak at Joseph Brant Hospital. To date, there have been 11 institutional outbreaks in Halton long-term care homes and retirement residents, but most of those have been declared over. There is currently 1 resident in Oakville's Post-Inn Village long-term care home with COVID-19 and 2 in Oakville's Waterford LTC. As of today, retail stores that have a street entrance can reopen to offer curbside pickup and delivery. This means that more people are beginning to return to work. Over the weekend, garden centers, nurseries, hardware stores, and safety supply stores began offering in-store purchasing. To help make this transition as safe as possible, the Ministry of Labor, Training and Skills Development has now released 80 sector-specific health and safety guidelines, and the Ministry of Health has also released a guidance document for essential workplaces. Business owners are asked to use these guidelines to develop their reopening plans. Today also marks the first day that provincial parks are reopening, as announced by our Minister of Environment, Jeff Urich.
We're now able to take steps to reopen Ontario's parks. With the warm weather just around the corner, I know that many Ontarians are looking forward to spending more time outdoors after being cooped up inside for so many weeks. This Monday, May 11th, over 500 Ontario parks and conservation reserves will open. And the remaining 115 parks will be open on Friday, May 15th. I want to remind everyone, you will be able to walk, hike, and bike. But for now, there will be no access to beaches, facilities, camping, or group activities. But I want to be clear, visitors to the park must continue with physical distancing. We also ask that you stay local.
This announcement has left some confusion about which parks are open here in Halton. Melissa Candelaria has more.
Although provincial parks and conservation reserves have opened, conservation areas in Halton have not. Conservation Halton CEO Hassan Bassett says there is a distinct difference between them and the province.
Our conservation areas are completely different, completely separate from provincial parks. They are also completely separate from any municipal parks. So Conservation Halton's parks, and a lot of people don't know this, do not operate based on tax revenues. We get absolutely nothing. No government funding, no municipal taxes, no property taxes go to park operations. So we operate our parks just like any small to mid-sized independent business. People visit our parks, the fees that they pay, they go towards all operating expenses for those parks.
Conservation Halton has 7 parks under its jurisdiction. Bassett says they are working on a pilot testing program.
And that's looking at how can we open up our parks for, let's say, a short-term new normal and perhaps a mid to long-term new normal given the COVID-19 pandemic. And so those pilots, every time we do a pilot, and that's inviting actual people, members of ours, by email invite to come in and test something that we've put in place, we learn something from that pilot. And the idea is to develop a playbook, because there is no playbook for operating a conservation area during a global pandemic.
There is still a couple more pilot tests to be done. Bassett says the results of these tests will dictate when they will reopen.
But if I were to give a ballpark, we expect the first park with limited use, obviously, it's not going to go back to full suite of activities available, the first park will probably open up in a limited capacity within the next week. We're then going to add another one and another one and another one. And so, that's going to complete our first stage of opening, which is essentially be the ability to come out through pre-booked time slots. So it's not going to be the same as it was before. And do passive recreation. So walk the trails, ride your bike, go for a walk with your kids, your family, bring your dogs for a walk, all of that stuff. But we're going to keep facilities closed. We're not going to have programming like boat rentals and camping and education programs. And then in stage 2, we bring other things online. And then in stage 3, we bring more things online. Obviously, between each stage, we're going to be paying attention to public health guidelines.
Now, just to remind you of the conservation areas and the parks under the Conservation Halton jurisdiction, they are as follows: Rattlesnake Point, Hilton Falls, Crawford Lake, Robert Edmondson, Kelso Glen Eden, Mount Nemo, and Mountsburg. For more information on these parks and to follow when they will reopen, all you have to do is go to their website, conservationhalton.ca. Reporting for Halton News, I'm Melissa Candelaria.
As provincial parks start to reopen, you're reminded that Conservation Halton and city parks are not necessarily opening at the same time or in the same ways. We have Burlington's Mayor Marianne Mead Ward on here with us today to help dispel some of the myths and clear up what you can and cannot do in our city parks. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here, and thanks for that. I know it's been confusing because there are city parks, regional parks, provincial parks, conservation parks. There's the Royal Botanical Garden parks. So actually in the city of Burlington, we never closed our parks. We closed our parking lots adjacent to parks to encourage people to stay in their neighborhood. It was a way to really help to prevent overcrowding in some of our more popular parks. But the parks have always remained open. So the province and some other municipalities closed their parks, they're reopening. We have nothing to reopen because they're already open. But in terms of the use, that's where the discussion is really going. What can you do in those parks? So the provincial parks, and what they announced on the weekend, you can walk, hike, bike, or bird watch. That's what you can do in a provincial park. And essentially, other than the bird watching piece, that's exactly what you've always been able to do in City of Burlington parks. We never shut that down. What we ask people to do is walk, don't stop, through our parks to avoid crowds, gathering, lingering, and also make sure that there's a steady flow of people through the parks so that everybody gets a chance at different times of the day to use them. So that's still where we are at.
I have noticed more people rollerblading these days. Is that permitted in Burlington parks?
On the trails, absolutely. Biking and trails. Now, if the parking lot is closed, it's closed for people rollerblading or skateboarding or doing or parking. So the parking lot is closed, just like our skate parks right now are closed. So facilities and amenities remain closed by the provincial emergency order. That includes washrooms, it includes sports fields, golf courses, of course, and there is one city-run golf course. So those are all still remaining closed under the provincial order. So, but you can bike on our sidewalks or on our if you have a small enough wheel, so kids can bike on our sidewalks. Of course, the streets you can bike on the streets, on our bike paths. There are many of those throughout the city. Those were never closed. You can continue to do that there. The only exception is Spencer Smith Park, where we ask people to get off their bikes and not to jog, just again to manage crowd control in those more popular areas.
And of course, the playgrounds still remain closed, and I'm assuming you're waiting for direction from the province on that?
They would have to change the emergency order to allow those amenities and facilities to open, and they're closed in provincial parks too. So I know sometimes people just read the headline, oh, the park's open, and they assume it's back to business as usual. It is not. It's very limited, and it's day use. And what the province is doing is essentially what Burlington has been doing all along throughout this pandemic. We expect there may be more announcements. I know some area municipalities are allowing people to bring a blanket or a lawn chair. We're looking at that, but we want to be coordinated with RBG, Conservation Halton, what they're doing, so that people have a consistency around if it's allowed anywhere, then it's allowed in all the parks. So we're really working with our partners to try to simplify that and sing from one song sheet for people.
Well, thank you for that, Marianne. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon. Halton school boards have been encouraged to consider hosting graduation ceremonies for students once it's safe to do so, even if that means holding them at the end of summer or in the fall. The Minister of Education recognizes that these ceremonies are a rite of passage and that students deserve to celebrate their achievements, even if it has to be on a delayed schedule due to COVID-19. Our local school boards are advised to take their cue from the Region of Halton's medical health officer and to plan ceremonies based on her safety advice. In federal news, the government has now announced a new loan program called the Large Employer Emergency Finance Facility. We spoke with Wellington Halton Hills MP Michael Chong for those details.
It will allow large companies to access additional liquidity to keep their operations going. And by large companies, I'm talking about companies that have annual revenues of $300 million a year or greater. So what the new financing facility consists of is two elements. First, it will provide loans of up to $60 million per company and loan guarantees of up to $80 million per company. Businesses in the financial sector, such as banks, are not eligible, nor are any firms that have been convicted in the past of tax evasion. Large companies also have to have significant operations or workforces in Canada. So that's essentially what the new program the government announced today is all about.
Although this program is expected to help big businesses, Chong says the plan is not perfect.
It will help people who work for large Canadian companies such as Air Canada, who work for large corporations in the retail sector. But it doesn't address the gaps that we've been hearing from local small businesses. So for example, if you are a sole proprietorship that does not have a business account at a bank, but rather uses a checking account, you don't qualify for the government's $40,000 loan that they're providing. It doesn't help out small businesses that are seasonal businesses that, let's say, open for one season, that don't have revenues in the first quarter of a year or revenues from previous years. It also doesn't help family-run businesses that are putting everything back into the business, all the cash back into the business, and paying family members with dividends. Those kinds of businesses are not currently covered by the programs that have been announced and are falling through the cracks. We've been highlighting this with the government and hoping that they're going to come forward with amendments to these programs so that they can help out these kinds of small businesses.
I now have the race director from VR Pro, Kelly Arnott, on the line. Now, because of COVID-19, races have had to change significantly because we can't have thousands of people running in the streets together, of course, but that didn't stop you from still holding races. You've been doing them virtually. Can you tell me about the races and how they've been going?
So what they do is they sign up for the event, and then we put together a nice little package, Jessica, of their beautiful medal, a shirt. I just managed to get a $10 gift pack from Cliff Bar for all of our runners. And then we pack it with, and we also package up a bib and the pins. And so it's just like they're going in a real race. And they hop onto their Strava or Runkeeper or something like this where they actually time and have the race route in their watch or on their computer, and then they send it to me after. And we've actually just hooked up with Race Roster, a registration company that's doing online results for us. And so they will send out a finishing certificate after the runners finish the race. And then we also put them on our VR Pro Races Facebook page where we have 1,000 people all posting things. And so it's really, really exciting. But the one thing it's doing in this really difficult time is it's keeping people motivated. It's giving them a goal, because you know our goals are difficult these days. And people are out running and walking. As you know, you look outside in Burlington, they're everywhere because you can do that. So I actually feel we might be having the next running revolution than we've had in years, because people are really getting in good shape, which is fantastic.
Well, and it's also helping to continue that sense of community. I want to move into your big news. You had a big announcement over the weekend of an upcoming race. Can you please tell us about it?
We got together with Joseph Brand Hospital, our beautiful hospital, and St. Joseph's Healthcare in London, as one of my runners was wanting me to do sort of the satellite site there as well. This is all virtual, so I mean, I'm not going there, unfortunately, but so we arranged it and we announced it. We've got this beautiful medal. So $15 from every entry goes to either Joe Brandt if you sign up for the Burlington one, or for London, St. Joe's, if you sign up for that, plus all the pledges and donations. And our runners have been so excited about it, Jessica. They are pledging like crazy, donating and pledging as well as signing up. We've got 300 for the Burlington site so far, and we have over 50 in the London site. And this is just the beginning. It's only been live for 48 hours. So
wow.
I think it's something that's going to be really, really special and raise a lot of money towards our $250,000 commitment for Joe Brandt.
Well, this sounds great, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing this information with our viewers. Still ahead, the CEO of the Toronto Zoo with their reopening plans. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Halton News. I'm Jessica Kading, and if you're like me, you had plans to visit the Toronto Zoo this summer. That is before we became aware of COVID-19 and our lives and plans were completely changed. Your TV's James Bowler of Muskoka recently interviewed Dolph DeYoung, the CEO of Toronto Zoo, who explains how they plan to reopen in phases. Let's take a look.
You know what's been absolutely phenomenal is whether it's our Food for Life campaign, our Facebook Lives, our education programs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 o'clock, is the incredible support the zoos receive. People are excited to get outside, to get back, to see the animals. So our reopening plans, we have it kind of mapped out into 3 big blocks. Right now, we're working with folks, across all levels of government to see if we can open up as a drive-through zoo. Can we actually practice physical and social distancing by keeping people in their vehicles and having a touchless experience that you would drive through as a scenic safari? Then we look forward to I'll call it a softer opening, where our facilities, the buildings would be closed, but our zoo is over 500 acres, 10 plus kilometers of trails, lots of room for people to go out for a walk, to connect with these animals and see and learn about what's going on with these individuals. And then ultimately our third phase, getting back to a zoo operation that will resemble pre-COVID-19 life, with our facilities and everything open, as well as our keeper talks, as everyone knows and loves.
After a strange weather weekend for May, featuring snow on Mother's Day and cloudy skies today, we can look forward to a bit of sunshine tomorrow, peeking from behind those clouds, and then full sun expected Wednesday, and finally back into those double digits, hitting 12 degrees as our high. Plan for rain showers, though, both Thursday and Friday, and even possibly Saturday as well, as we head into our Victoria Day long weekend. But at least there will be some sunshine returning Saturday, and tomorrow we'll take a look at what Sunday will bring. The Milton Chamber of Commerce invites you to join them for their next virtual business forum on Wednesday, May 13th. The Honorable Vic Fideli, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, who is also a lifelong entrepreneur, successful business person, and philanthropist, will discuss the Road to Recovery Part 2. To register, visit miltonchamber.com. Modest gains were made today in the stock market after some ups and downs. Here's a look at how some of our local companies performed. Still ahead, Burlington dads getting together for a good cause. More on that after this. watching Halton News right here on your TV. I'm Jessica Kading. Burlington Dads, a local Facebook group consisting of fathers who get together to make a difference in our local community, well, they held a bottle drive over the weekend that raised over $6,000. Let's take a look.
Burlington Dads is a Facebook group based out of Burlington, Ontario, obviously. It's about 4,000 members strong at the moment. It's a nice group of guys. We have a lot of similar interests, a lot of different interests. Ultimately, we ended up doing a lot of different charity works, and this is just one of the events we're doing right now.
So we started a bottle drive to raise money for the Burlington Food Bank and the Halton Women's Place, doing a bottle drive, but we also increased it to a food drive as well. We started last Sunday with the idea. On Monday we had 5,000 cans. By the end of Tuesday we had 5,000 cans. The very next day we gained another 5,000 cans. On Thursday we gained 7,000 more cans. And today we don't have a final count, but we are looking at approximately 40,000 cans returns in total.
In total, the Burlington Dads collected 42,311 returns, which resulted in $6,080. On top of that, 387 pounds of food were collected for the Burlington Food Bank, who reminds you not to be shy if you're in need of food. They say there's plenty to go around.
We just want to remind people coming off of this past weekend, we know that as time sort of continues on, it's going to get tougher and tougher for some families. And so we want to make sure that you know that the food bank's here for you. We've had tremendous community support as well as Feed Ontario and Food Banks Canada. And so we're able to help out no matter whether you've needed our help for a while and didn't bother asking because you wanted to leave it there for someone else. We're able to help you. We've been able to really steward well what we have, and so we're able to help anyone in Burlington who's in need of help. Make sure that you email us info@burlingtonfoodbank.ca or give us a call 905-637-2273, and we'll make sure we get you some non-perishables as well as fresh produce and frozen meat if you want that. All right, thanks so much and take care.
DG Greenhouses in Halton Hills invites you to visit their website, place your order, and they'll have your order ready for pickup. They've moved to this online ordering system in order to keep both employees and customers safe. Also, due to COVID-19, all sales are final. They're open 7 days a week from 9 to 5, and you can see all they have to offer at shops.dggreenhouses.com. For Halton News, I'm Jessica Kading, and you can visit us for more at yourtv.tv or follow us on social media at yourtvhalton. For Halton News, I'm Jessica Kading, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.